In to Barely Educated. I'll say it right this time. Episode 119.
I think so. Yeah.
Psalm 119 is the longest chapter in the Bible. This will not be the longest episode in the podcast history. We're here
Okay.
to talk about the Bears losing again to the Broncos, snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
Definitely.
Chris, I don't even know if I want to ask, but how are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. Um, I. Buddy Brian's here. Look at his contribution.
We
That about
got
sums it up, Buddy
Shugo and
Brian.
Brian already. Buddy Brian
Yeah.
already
Buddy Brian.
dumping all
Hey,
over the chat.
Shugo, thanks for joining us, man. Yeah.
You
Honestly,
first, Chris.
clearly that was tough. Do you want me to give positives first, or do you want me to go right to my
Well, I think the
big picture? I
positives
don't know.
basically just the one thing with
True.
a few consequences, right?
Yeah.
Justin
Yeah.
Fields' best game as a pro in at least the
Absolutely.
first three quarters, and statistically. And then they took the ball away from him because the coaches are the dumbest in the league,
Yeah. Why?
among other reasons to call them dumb. There's that.
Why is that? Because it's crunch time. We don't trust him, or is it just playing not the classic playing not to lose? Does it look like playing not to lose?
Both?
Because
I don't know. Definitely the latter. Maybe the former. This would be a real dumb game. It'd be extra dumb, which I am not putting past them, for this to be the game they didn't trust him.
yeah, he
But I
was
think
great.
this is in the DNA when you're stupid enough to hire this guy. This is the kind of guy you're getting at crunch time. Well, let's just run the ball and run out the clock and trust our defense. He said that at halftime.
Oh, he did. I didn't
Trusting
hear
the
that.
defense cliche.
Oh my gosh, his
I'm
defense
pretty sure
is.
it was something along those lines. You get the point. It doesn't have to be a direct quote. Let me ask you this, and I mean we can come back to Fields, but I don't think he's the lead. As much as I enjoyed that game for his sake, and I feel awful
Yeah.
for him that they still lost, and he's like sitting there forever after the game. Man, you're not the problem, kiddo. What do you hate most about Matt Eberflus?
Oh gosh,
Isn't
you
that
want this
tough?
to be a
That's
short
a tough
show?
question. Well played.
Yeah. Okay. He's just platitudes and empty speak of. Having trouble even just forming the words, but just the fact that there's nothing to what he says. It's so vacuous,
Well,
and
good word.
oh, thank you, thank you. And then during the game, he's supposed to be the CEO of the team, right? And maybe calling defense is distracting him, but I don't know how much he's anyway.
Sorry, I'm laughing at Shugo's tight end direct snap. Yeah, I didn't like that either.
Yeah,
Shugo.
we'll get. Yeah, I do
All right,
want to
we'll
talk
get
about that later too. I'll throw
I
that
think
up in that
vacuous
vote.
is a good way to put it. I think my biggest problem with Flus isn't even in game, because I expected him to be terrible in game as soon as they hired him, and I hate the process. We've talked about that a lot.
Yep.
I thought at least he'd be accountable, but he basically expects perfect execution from the players, but never owns up to any of his own mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean, his defense of the fourth down thing was there was absolutely no. I would go for it again because we wanted to put our boot on their throat and be Dan Campbell about it, but I'd call it something different. Where I'd get Justin Moot, like something that's like, I'm not backing down entirely, but I realize it didn't work and we should have done something else. I mean, a draw out of the shotgun, and he said you needed a half a yard. It was 2 yards, moron. 4th and 2, so at least a yard and a half. Like, it's just wrong.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I can't stand that he
Totally
takes
wrong.
no accountability. It sounds an awful lot like Matt Nagy, as Shugo just noted. Yes, it's like the same stupid everything I do should work better than this, and if it's not, must be these idiot players not executing. I hate it so much.
Yep. Yep.
For the record, am fine with going for it on 4th down there.
Sure.
I hate the play call.
Yep.
Even
Yeah,
though I know they were moving the ball, you've got no momentum for the back on that handoff. It's like literally the worst kind of run you could do in that situation.
Yeah. That's my problem with the tight end play too. That Shugo you mentioned is that the first time they did it against Green Bay, it didn't work, and it barely worked. It only worked because Herbert was like, "Oh crap," and tried to help push him forward a little bit. But I just don't get it. Yeah. That's more
quarter
Getsy than
plan,
Flus, I
just
guess.
that
But
was coaching not to lose. That to get back to your question.
yeah.
I agree, Shugo. He mentions that he seems over promoted. Yep, it happens all the time. DJ Moore had a great game, and you're right. He didn't get the ball in the fourth enough, at least not on that last drive. I think he only had like one catch in that quarter. Justin had a huge run before the interception, right? So like Justin was still making plays, and they took the ball out of his hands in the penultimate, right, the second to last drive.
Yep. Running around. And I get that they were trying to eat up the clock, but the way Fields was throwing today, I mean, he was completing almost all of his passes. Completions are going to keep the clock running just as much as running the ball is. And yeah, they didn't want to do that for some reason. And I don't know if that's a Getsy thing or if that's a Flus telling Getsy, I want you to run the ball to eat up the clock.
They'll never tell us. I mean, look, I'm not going to throw shade at Luke Getsy today. I think it's Flus. Getsy had a great game until the end. If he was the one making that decision, then yeah, bad. But I feel like that had Flus written all over it. Getsy had schemed guys open. Fields was hitting them. Right, this was not the day to be mad at Getsy. There's been lots of days where we can do that. Buddy Brian points out, we had a one-season honeymoon period with Nagy. With Flus, it was a game. Yep. It's just true. I think he's in over his head, over promoted big time. I think the most disappointing thing, though, is the complete lack of leadership, which the accountability thing fits under that umbrella. What do you make of this whole to-do where the team is saying one thing and the coach is saying another about Chase Claypool not being at the game?
Yeah.
Wow, Bears. I mean, get your crap together.
Yeah.
No leadership.
Just to recap, that Flus said that Claypool chose. Did he say they chose not? He chose not to come, but then later
Flus said he made it Claypool's choice, and then later the Bears were like, "We told him."
No, we told him not to. That's a huge problem.
That's kind of great for the fire him now crowd, which not happening on a short week. Not happening until Friday. Yeah, same. Well, I mean, I don't think it matters. Keep him to tank for all I care. But they're not going to fire him on a Monday of a short week. Your best bet, your best hope right now would be Friday after another loss. But we can get to that. I just think he's a dreadful in-game coach, and it's wild to me that he's even worse during the week. Whatever else about Nagy's press conferences, which were pretty annoying, until way after he was gone, we never got the sense that the team was like annoyed with him like we do here. You know what I mean? Like we heard the story later about how he blew off Mitch the one time, and it ended up looking like he was maybe more of a jerk than we ever knew. But like during the week, the Bears were way more respectable than this. I mean, they're a total disaster all week, not just on Sunday. So that's really stepping it up a notch for the Bears.
Wow.
Okay, so we all think Flus deserves to go ASAP, though. What's the point? Who are you hiring? I mean,
well, would you just make Getsy interim or make?
I mean, it's a real recency bias to say it today, but I suppose. I mean, it has a good game. Make him the coach. You know?
Well, you can't promote the defensive coordinator to interim coach.
No.
You know.
Go get Greg Roman and let's see who's on the scrap heap D coordinators. Lovie Smith. I saw a tweet about that. Get Lovie Smith.
Justin's our quarterback.
Well, I just thought I'd help you tank again.
Hey, let me ask you this: what Shugo brings up here. About the great throws, the great plays by Moore. How much do you read into that as being good because it was against Denver? How much does that play into Fields' performance today? Okay.
I am really happy that he played well. It was fun. It's just really important for us to mention. Denver's awful defensively, and I'm so glad Justin played great against them. It also is funny for the Ben Albrights of the world who are like so determined that Denver made the right choice, and then Fields in Moore cook all game against the cornerback that they drafted, right? Instead of Fields. But you know, it's not like Fields is killing it. I am not going to be so short-sighted as much as the meatball kind of wants to say Fields is fixed now, and that that was more him than it was the Denver D. There's still the other 3 games this year, and I still. You know, we still had the TD was a bad play all around, but part of that's on Justin. You got to eat that ball. or better,
Oh, the
recognize
fumble,
that
you mean?
recognize that there's a guy coming free and audible something, which he's audibled some. He did do a little bit of that. I mean, that's a pre-snap read on a certain level. Like, I'm not giving him a total pass on that, though. The play was
Sure.
doomed, and they got to quit having him turn his back to the D.
Yeah, and
If he
Matt
tries to
Ryan
throw
pointed
it,
that
that's
out.
the reason it's a touchdown.
Yeah.
It's a
He tried to
sack,
make
and the
something
drive probably
happen.
gets derailed, and they punt. But it's a touchdown because he didn't just eat the ball, and that part of it I think was bad. The interception to Kmet, I'm gonna go on my rant about interceptions being a stupid stat again.
Yep.
Because they just miscommunicated, and I don't know that we will get an answer as to whose fault it was. I suspect Fields thought Kmet would keep running because he's got the body position, but he plays small. That's the biggest problem with Kmet. He doesn't play like he's 6'5".
Yeah.
So he stops thinking it's a soft part of the zone, and Fields throws it like he's going to keep running. So ironically, bitter irony, he throws with anticipation, and the guy stopped.
Yeah.
Moore was
great
awesome
irony.
today. That was fun to
Yes,
see.
he was.
And ultimately, Justin's fourth quarter was not as good as the rest of his game, but I really only blame him for the one part of that one play. But I just can't. I got to see it more than once.
Sure.
And I got to see it against a better opponent. It would be really wonderful if this was like a turning point looking back.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still fairly skeptical because we're pretty far into the career.
Understandable.
And, I mean, that gets you to the whole tank for Caleb Williams conversation if we're not too careful, which I'm willing to do. But
we're into week 2 of effort, though.
Yeah,
for Justin. So, and the Chiefs are a good defense. Of course, they're not looking too good tonight, though, are they? Just
no.
Cousin Nate sent the text through. Why is Cousin Nate watching the game and not on our live stream? I don't know, cousin.
Yeah, let's text him now. He's gonna be like, I don't have an account. That's what he's gonna say.
But I mean, if you look at the other side, if Fields looked like he has the first 3 games today, then you're like, okay, it's over, it's done. But today there was that little. It was someone on Twitter put it best. I can't remember how it was phrased, but it was the guy is still in there. I think even Nate posted that in our.
And I think it's unfair that he makes those guys miss on those enough that they just keep calling those plays a couple times a game, and sometimes he bails out a bad call. But I do think they need to either he's got to do better or they've got to do a better job of doing like slide protection on those plays. Because the problem is once he puts his back to the defense to do the boot, right? But then again, just eat the play. So it's like bad in a bunch of ways. But I would like for Justin to obviously play well the rest of the year because of I just feel like he's a good kid and he like looks so depressed and it's just sad, But I think if you're sitting there at number 1 and he had a solid year, you're trading him and drafting Caleb Williams.
I mean, I get it. It makes sense. That unknown transfer to the NFL just always makes me nervous, though. And if you've got if today was a fluke and he's more rocky the up and down the rest of the year, even if he's up and down the rest of the year, I need to see consistent good quarterback play from him for the rest of the year. Otherwise, I totally get that. But I watched some of the USC game yesterday, and Williams, I mean, incredible athlete, made some like jaw dropping throws, but he's throwing to wide open guys a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's the skill set. It's the fact that the ball is like the release is so fast. He sometimes winds up to go deep, but when he needs to throw it fast, he does. And Justin's never done that. And it's the whole like he kind of looks like Mahomes out there. They're totally picking. Whoever has the number 1 pick is picking him.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah.
And if it's the Bears, then they're going to trade Fields. If they do, let's go to Atlanta. They look like they need a quarterback, and he'd be going home, and he'd be pretty.
He'd be going home. Yeah.
Well, whatever. I would think it'd be cool if he had a monstrous rest of the year, and then you're sitting there with all the draft capital in the world, and you don't have the number 1 pick probably anymore. That would be fine too, as long as you don't fall for keeping the coaches. I cannot stress enough.
Yeah, I don't want Justin to play well to the point that it saves them, but I mean, we're past that, right? We're past that, right?
Gotta be. Well, it's just, let's be realistic. I mean, I know we're fans and all, but like, he played a great game against a terrible team, and they still lost at home. Like, what? Okay.
That's why I don't cry.
A couple times he does it again, and they win. great. How many wins do we have? 2? 4? How many wins do the Panthers have? There's still a pretty decent chance the Bears are sitting there at number 1 between the 2 picks.
Right.
If you're like 1-3 or something like that, that is so awesome. Yeah. This is an awesome draft to have 2 top picks, by the way. Super elite at the top.
One more question about Williams. Does the fact that he's 6'1" give you pause, or is that tall enough?
That's tall enough.
NFL? Okay.
As long as you're not too like frail looking. No, he's fine.
And he's not. He's not.
I mean, how tall is like Mahomes? 6'2", 3 at most. I mean, I think when you're 5'9", it's a problem. 6'1", all right.
Someone listening, look it up. Put it in the chat. How tall is Mahomes?
Yeah, I agree with Shugo as usual here. He would have to have a monstrous rest of the season to force the Bears to not draft Williams.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right here. I'll put that back.
It feels like if one goes, both should go. Yeah, we've been kind of saying that the last couple weeks, like the clean start. And honestly, while we're on that, so should Poles. There's no reason to keep Ryan Poles. I talked about his asset management. It doesn't matter. His talent evaluation's horrible. Like, at some point, just line it all up just once. Just do that for me one time. This is your chance, Warren.
Yeah, it has to be him. Yep.
I mean, obviously, I think he's not as much of a train wreck as Eberflus, but I could care less if they fire him. It's fine. He's done a bad enough job. The Claypool thing is on him. I liked the process of getting Fields a receiver last year in the developmental year. And you got him a receiver that is bad. And he's a bad apple.
How did you like St. Brown making a great catch? Was that for a first down? The one that he caught? But I don't know. I just like, it's over, man. It is so over Claypool.
Yeah, so if you go back to like the be realistic thing. 350 and whatever and 4 TDs. I mean, that's pretty awesome game. Still lost. The defense is
you gotta win.
Unspeakably bad. Even at that kind of performance from Fields, I'm telling you, there's only a few wins on the schedule. And if you get a couple clunkers against bad teams and you lose to basically all the good teams, you might steal one. I think you're still looking at, it's not that unlikely that they have 3 wins or less with the defense this bad. And they just need to get way more press. And we all QB'd this whole thing too. We're doing it too. But, Chris, the defense doesn't make any plays.
No.
They don't get off the field. 60% conversions against. Last year it was 46 and they were horrible. It's 15% higher basically this year. It's crazy.
Any turnovers? Did they have any turnovers in 4 games?
1. Sanborn had the interception.
Last week.
Garbage
against
time.
Blaine
Gabbert. Is that the only turnover in a month?
I think it is.
Well, Lovey's not coming back then. He's not going there.
That's 25% of your philosophy there, Mr. Hitz.
They forced a fumble, but they didn't get it, right? Like, the Johnson definitely had a peanut punch against the Bucks.
Yeah. And
Didn't they have something against Green Bay where there was a fumble they recovered?
I don't
know. I'm pretending that game didn't happen for the most part. So
I don't know if you remember or not. 2 interceptions.
2 interceptions. Sanborn for sure.
Who's the other one then?
Was it Stevenson?
Maybe it was Stevenson against Tampa.
No.
Maybe I don't remember. Anyway, I lost my train of thought. I'm still like. Did this loss bother you as much as the first couple? Because it didn't me, and I think it's because Justin looked like the guy we thought we were getting at the beginning of the year.
It was more entertaining at the very least.
Yeah. My college buddy Brian. Wheaton buddy Brian.
Oh man. Double buddy Brian episode.
I know. He said that maybe it's Gabbert threw 2 picks. No, but my buddy Brian was saying that to him this game was heartbreaking and not soul crushing like the first two.
That's pretty well said.
Maybe that's progress. There's only
good.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah. We're doing good.
Not soul
the
crushing.
Other interception is by someone named Quindell Johnson.
Yes.
So Quindell Johnson and Jack Sanborn.
Jack Sanborn. Boy, you love Jack Sanborn.
Taylor.
Real buddy. Look, this is from real buddy Brian. Why is Sanborn's girlfriend at the Chiefs-Jets game?
Buddy Brian, did you see the big cat tweet about Taylor Swift?
I don't remember. I didn't see that.
I just sent it
did.
before we went live. I'm
Oh,
gonna read
okay.
it. Taylor Swift did this to your team, Chiefs fans. She took Mahomes' talent. You have to end this relationship now.
Mm-hmm. I like
How about
the
the fact that he
rumors that.
throws an interception on and the linebacker is running the route with Kelsey, like not even remotely fooled.
Wow.
It's wild to watch the Chiefs struggle with this game. At least they were when we went
Yeah.
live. I don't know if they still are. Do you? So no, I don't think this loss felt as bad. I mean, you feel more hopeless in the sense that, like, wow, we still can't win.
Yes.
But
Yes.
you're like, hey, we weren't completely awful at everything today.
Yeah.
And again, I'm so into the whole reset thing that I'm like, hey, a tank win is a win. I'm here. I'm done. I'm here. And I was riveted by the Vikings comeback as well. No, I know you're a real fan.
I'm not there yet.
I'm a long-term. I'm in the long-term game.
Well, that's so weird. Maybe because you're a Cardinals fan.
Because I recognize that this is all too unsustainable.
Yeah, but maybe you're just used to a well-oiled machine of an organization. And myself, as a Cubs fan and a Bears fan, I'm like, oh yeah, this is normal. Even when you have a team do it right, like the Blackhawks, well, something comes out later that
it worked for a while. Hey, Bedard looks awesome. As that.
Yes, he does. 18-year-old. Woo. So.
Jets and Chiefs are tied at 20 halfway through the third.
Crazy. Wow. I'll look forward to flipping that on.
So is this the combined best day for Zach Wilson and Justin Fields in the NFL?
It's looking that way, especially if the Jets pull it off. Yeah. Another Fields thought that I had. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah, it's all you. Go.
Another Fields thought that I had. Did he not look a little Mahomes-ish at times? And I'm not saying it's sustainable or will be sustained. But that one touchdown, the second touchdown to Kmet in the second quarter, I think it was, where he ran up to the line and then just boop.
Yes, that was my favorite play of the game.
That's Mahomes type stuff.
Running along the line of scrimmage, we finally saw it.
Yep.
I'm with you, Shugo. I'm sorry I'm there. It's just not the day for this in a certain level because Fields was really good today, but I mostly don't believe he's gonna. I think it's more about Denver being really awful and guys finally being open. Like if they're open, he's fine. It's just he doesn't see NFL open, but he got to play a college defense today.
There were some.
He had some really good plays.
Exceptional throws, like quick
but we still
decision.
had the whole like 3 weeks out of 4 he's had a.
I know.
I
understand
touchdown.
that.
Like there's still a lot I'm skeptical of.
But he made throws today he would not have made.
True.
Weeks 1, 2, and 3, and
he wouldn't even throw it.
That
was the part that was killing me. I'm like, you gotta throw the ball at the very least.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is
I feel bad for him though. Really do.
I know he seems like such a good kid, but I guess what I'm saying is if I see more of that, yes, it was today against probably the worst defense he's going to play all year, but Washington in 5 days, if he's still doing it against a better team and then can keep doing it little by little, I am totally fine with a progression like that instead of being just great now. So even if he takes a little dip next week, but it's still
pretty much
mostly good.
They're not going to be able to block them. I mean, dude, they gave the Eagles a crazy tough game.
Yeah.
I hope DJ Moore is okay. Am I the only one who thinks he might be hurt? He came up funny with his back and kept getting up slow a couple times. I'm sure he'll play, but I would not be surprised at all if he doesn't practice this week.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's just going to be walkthrough, so maybe he'll be out there. But
was he not on the field in that last drive, maybe?
No, he was.
He was? Okay. Yeah.
So Shugo asked, but that's the Robert Mays math. Even if he shows a little improvement, will it be enough? See, that's my thing. Like, he has to... So if he shows enough that you win enough, you're not going to be able to pick Williams anyway.
Right. Yes.
Like, I'm not going to go up and get him if Justin had an okay finish, or goodish finish, because I don't want to spend the assets. Plus, no one's trading out of that spot.
Yes.
But if I have the number 1 pick, and it's because of Carolina, I don't think there's a scenario because of how good a prospect Williams is and how much he reminds everyone of you-know-who and how good the release is. That's not a guy you pass up, right? But if you end up picking second and fourth, and you're hoping Fields panned out, because if Fields plays like 85% of what he played today or something. Well, I'm just making up a number, but the rest of the way, are you picking May? I don't know if I'm doing that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if he's
I'm
the
not...
first 3 weeks, Fields, I'm picking May too. If I can't get Williams, then I'm getting someone like he's done. If he's what he was the first 3 weeks.
Yes, totally.
He has
agree.
still a shot
totally
if he plays like this.
Yeah, that's what I said. I got to see consistent progress the rest of the season. You know, and not even up and down. Not even.
Well,
up
I mean,
if it's
the
up and down.
The Washington game isn't going to be 335 and 4 TDs, right?
Probably not. But he could still be good. I mean, even if it's like 275, 2 TDs. I mean, that's good, right?
The tough thing is they're 0-4 on a short week with a fairly tough matchup, just because of what Washington does well and what the Bears don't. And then you come home for Minnesota, which is very winnable, apparently. But how demoralized are you by that point?
I've heard that before. Yeah, that's why you got to fire the coach. Give the team a little something.
They're not going to fire him on a short week.
No, my friend Bob back home.
They might on a mini buy. Maybe Warren.
Yes, right.
Maybe
that's what I'm saying.
Maybe.
That's my friend Bob's theory too. Shout out to buddy Bob, my friend Bob.
Never have I more wanted a Bob to be right in all my years as a fan of the score.
Yeah, he thinks the Flus gets fired on Friday, especially if the Commanders win. I almost said. Oh, no, I didn't.
So let's go there for a second. Who are the other winnable games? Let's say Fields is 3/4 of what he was today, and definitely better than the other 3 games. Panthers.
Yes.
That's a weird spot to be in, right? Because there's a scenario where, like, should we win or should we lose this game?
Yeah, they both can't go winless.
Yeah. The Raiders. I think the Raiders might be the worst one on the schedule after Carolina. I do not think Arizona is one. I think it's possible, but I think they're playing really pretty well against way better teams than the Bears here lately. So I'm kind of like, I don't know about that one. And I definitely think you could split with the current version of the Vikings.
Yeah, that's the only division game it looks like you're going to take. Yeah.
New Orleans looks pretty bad right now. Offensively, look horrible. But their defense is pretty good, right? So, like, there's a bunch of coin tosses, but I think there's only a couple where you're like, oh, we can win that.
Can you beat Green Bay in Green Bay week 7, week 18?
Do we ever beat Green Bay?
No. It's been a while. Been a long time, but yeah. Hey, so I totally get saying the place you're at, where Shugo's at too, about in for the tank, get Caleb Williams. I totally get that.
With you there, Shugo. Not a lot of wins. I agree.
Yeah.
Sorry,
and I'm not. No, that's fine. I'm not going to try to convince or persuade him because I mean,
14 in a row kind of speaks for itself. Even if you were tanking the last one last year, they weren't tanking before that.
Yeah. So either if Fields improves enough to the point where maybe let's keep these coaches around, then the Bears have lost long term there too.
They've done the Bears thing again.
They've
stopped doing that.
Unbears the Bears. Yeah. It's like, do you remember like the '97 season at all? Where they started 0-7, somehow cranked out 4 wins by the end of that season, and missed out on drafting Peyton Manning.
Yeah,
because of that. Because they won a couple.
I think teams are a little more willing to embrace the tank than they were back then now. Like that ought to be an interesting bloodbath over the course of the final 4 to 6 weeks. All the teams that think they're within shouting distance of Caleb Williams.
Games against Detroit, but what if Shugo's not seeing a lot of wins in our future? I'm dreading the games against Detroit. But what if our next head coach is on Detroit's coaching staff right now?
I am scouting him anytime I can.
That's Ben Johnson, right? That's his name?
You know what I love about him? He runs multiple plays out of the similar look, and teams don't see it coming. Then he goes back to it, does a little something on it, and it works.
Yeah.
He's playing chess in a way that our play callers typically haven't. Though again, okay, Dave forgets it. Pretty good.
And he's got, yeah.
They're always going to look better when they score 4 touchdowns.
A couple plays. I'm still like, and the fourth down, the last, anyway, and not kicking the field goal. Anyway, Ben Johnson. He has gotten what's his name, quarterback, Jared Goff. He's playing his best football, and he was on a Super Bowl with the previous team.
McVay, right? Yeah, I mean, that's why I love Ben Johnson. It looks like he tailored that offense to what Goff does well.
Mm-hmm.
That's coaching.
Imagine
this
that.
is the problem. The Bears always seem to hire these guys who won't adjust to what they have.
No. Shugo wants my optimism. Yeah, is it optimism or just meatball stupidity?
I don't know. This is a very bad game for Bears enlightenment until the very end. Then I was like, okay, we're back. Back to nihilism or enlightenment.
But it was on display that it's the coaching staff, right?
Like, that's the obvious lead. I mean, I know people can talk a lot about Fields.
No.
This game was not, I want to be clear. I thought he could have played better in the fourth. They also took the ball from him. This game is 100% on the coaches. It is not on Fields.
Yeah. Hey, this is a former student of mine from the Trinity days, David.
Former student David?
Former student David, hello. Yeah, great trumpet player and good dude. Bears started calling plays not to lose in the fourth. I totally agree.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then when you play it safe, you don't bother with the points. I mean, you can definitely debate whether they should have kicked that field goal, and I will totally hear that out. But I feel like the play call itself was dreadful. Decision, I'm like 50-50 on.
Yeah. Why does it seem to cross regimes, though? Why is every Bears coaching staff that way? Is it because it goes... Okay, I was going to ask you. Is it because it goes higher?
There's some optimism.
No, is it because it goes... Probably. Or even George? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, their hiring process is always stupid, which is why I harp on it all the time. But then they're supposedly hands-off afterwards. Which is why I wanted a new person in charge of the hiring, and now we hope that Warren does this better.
Yeah. How much did the Bears, Buddy Brian, how much did the Bears intentionally tank last year? As time goes on,
I think only the Vikings game where they could have played Fields and didn't.
Yeah.
Where if they had hope, they'd get the one, and then that happened. I don't think they were tanking before that.
But
they were just that bad.
But trading Roquan, though, right after your best game of the year.
No, that was because the GM got his panties in a bunch because of the contract negotiations. And also, I have another thought for you, and I'm going to have to go soon.
All right.
The other thing the Bears need to stop doing, in my opinion, is trading players. As hiring coaches whose schemes aren't going to fit their players. Like, what does it tell us about the coaching? That Robert Quinn sets a record for the franchise in sacks and then is dreadful. Of course, he's also got this weird up and down career. And then Roquan looks awful in the system. And we were all like, all fine with trading Quinn. And I was okay with trading Roquan because I think he's just kind of goofy and the negotiations were going poorly.
Yeah.
But like, good teams don't have productive players play their worst just because you got a new coach. You know, see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like it never makes sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know that was tanking. I think that was just smart. Get something for before he leaves for nothing, as opposed to like Pace and A-Rob.
Yeah, that makes sense. But if Poles is making decisions like that, more on personal pettiness, he's got to get out of there too. You know, if you're right.
Or he could have been directed in a sense because of the whole Roquan's letter on Family Day. I mean, Roquan had some seriously bad form on some of that. But it sort of felt like that got a little bit personal. Yeah, it's all a problem. It's all a problem.
See, I can laugh after this loss. I couldn't laugh as much after the first three. So, yeah, that's better. And also,
now when we're talking to people at work and everything else, we can be like, hey, Fields played great. We have a little something to hang our hat on for now.
Yeah. There are a few people that are saying, well, he shouldn't have fumbled and he shouldn't have thrown that pick. But I still don't care about that pick. Yeah,
the fumble's pretty bad. The pick, I think, is kind of inevitable when you're getting desperate. Like, we see this all the time.
And I
feel awful. He never gets the big win. You know, like he's dying for it. He clearly wears it on his sleeve in a way that most of this team doesn't seem to, or at least some of them don't.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think the biggest problem the Bears have is a leadership crisis, starting with the coach. And if you think this game is on Justin Fields, I think you need a new TV.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Well, hey, you got family you got to get back to, right?
Yep.
So, all right. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching this. We'll be maybe Thursday night after the game. We can do it. We'll talk off camera.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to have time for a preview on this short week. Suffice to say, you better block the front, and then you have a chance. And if you don't, you have no chance.
One last question from David here. This is a good one. Do you think that George has given Kevin enough control to either fire Eberflus himself or tell polls? I don't know, and I hope that George is hands off, total, 100% not involved with any of this, and just being a fan, like he says.
Supposedly he is not involved, but we won't know till we see how it plays out.
Yeah.
And then your second part of that, who coaches if they fire him? That's the problem with firing him. I guess Getsy. Is that what we want? Maybe after
Special
today,
teams, dude.
it wouldn't have been what we wanted last week. Oh, Hightower.
That makes the most sense. But no, I'd go with the guy who.
You can promote Hoke to DC. Been in the NFL a long time, at least. You can't get any worse at defensive play calling right now.
No, you cannot.
I mean, they can throw something together. Maybe you do Hightower. It worked for the Raiders with Bisaccia.
Yep. Something's got to happen. You don't want a demoralized team for 3 more months.
At some point, you just have to tell the players that you're paying attention and you're not going to let this continue.
Exactly. So do your stuff, Kevin. All right, thanks everyone for checking in on this live stream. This was fun and lively. Appreciate you guys all jumping on.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you after the Redskins game. And,
oh, he did it!
I did it! Oh no! I can't. I'll have to bleep that out on the audio. We will talk to you after the Commanders game.
This is the other reason we can't have another episode. It's got to be one this week.
I'm gonna get canceled now. Meatball Composer.
Canceled Composer.
Canceled Meatball Composer. All right. We'll talk to you all later. Thanks so much.